Now, I'm sure you've heard of this character before. Freddy Krueger, one of the most iconic horror figures, was a playable character in MK9, and this character was a nightmare to go up against, no pun intended. This character was mainly a zoning, keep away, runaway character, and the amount of tools this character had to zone and keep you away was absolutely ludicrous. So just to get into his projectiles, so Freddy had 3 different projectiles in this game. He had a straight projectile, a low projectile, and then he had a projectile he could summon above your head. So he had projectiles that would come out in 3 different angles. And unlike a lot of other projectiles in this game, his projectiles were different because they would have pushback on block. So this was not a common thing in this game. Projectiles would not push you back on block like Freddy's did. So whenever you would block any of these, you would get pushed back further and further away. And the chip would add up like crazy. All of these did 2% chip each. So you can look at Shiva's health bar at the top right. She's literally just dying even though she hasn't even been hit yet. She's already lost over 10% of her life. Now, he had even more tools than just these projectiles that were really quick. They pushed back, they were very safe. Like at point blank, this projectile was like -2. It was completely safe. From this range, it was plus. From back here, it was mega plus. The projectiles were just, they were very abusable to just throw out at almost any range because of how safe they were. Now, he had another move called Ground Spike. And this move was one of his most obnoxious moves because if this move hit you, it launched your opponent up into the air, and then he can get a full combo off of this. And literally, every time he touched you, he would send you back full screen. And then you would have to work your way back in and get in all over again. So if you got hit by any of these, you were going full screen, and then you'd have to guess on him throwing projectiles. And the worst part was, like, the best thing to compare this move to is Gears' Sand Trap. I'm sure you guys have dealt with Gears' Sand Trap. It's very annoying. This move is like that. You have 4 different directions. You have close, medium, far. These do 2% chip, of course, on block, so you die for blocking them. They're very safe. Unlike Gears' Sand Trap, these are -12 in this game, so they're very safe. That, like, pretty much you're not going to be able... Almost, I think every character in the game literally cannot punish this. Maybe Reptile could punish it from here, if his dash will reach, but pretty much this was 100% safe against almost anybody. Freddy made everybody go to him. There was only one character that didn't have to go to Freddy, where Freddy can do this all too. That was Smoke, obviously, because you can't use any of these projectiles against Smoke because he's an anti-zoner. But everybody else, it didn't matter who you were. It didn't matter what character you were playing. Could have been Cage, could have been Cabal, could have been Kenshi, whatever. Everybody had to go to Freddy. Because full screen, he was the best full screen zoner in this game. All these options, fireballs, all these things flying around, your character was not going to be able to stay full screen and deal with blocking all these moves. And if any of these clips you and then you get hit, you have to take more chip, get comboed, it just was not worth it. So every character had to go to Freddy, play his game, except for Smoke. Smoke was the only character that could hit Freddy and then try to lame him out. And it was very risky for Freddy to try and throw these out when Smoke is throwing out smoke bombs, because then obviously Freddy would get hit and then he would lose his whole life. Now, going into the EX version of this move was even more absurd than his ground spikes already were. The EX version homed no matter where you were, so it auto tracks. If I do it here, it homes in on Shiva. I do it close, homes in. And this was completely safe. So when you block this, not only did it push you back really far, but it was completely safe. It was like -2 on block, so no one could punish it. And let's say you got in on Freddy. He had 50-50, so he was even more annoying because now you're in on him, and if you have to block and he's going to do something, whatever he did was either an overhead or low. And if you guess wrong, guess what? You're going full screen, because every time you guess wrong against Freddy and he hits you, back to full screen you go. He had a low, which was 17 frames, that he could cancel into EX to be completely safe. And he had an overhead back too, which was also 17 frames. So it was 50-50. On top of him having a 50-50 for being a zoning and runaway character, he had a non-fuzzable 50-50. They were both at the same frame. 17 frame low, 17 frame overhead. So completely unfuzzable mix-up. You got hit, he gets a juicy combo, carries you forward, and puts you back full screen. I dropped it, but that already did 45%. So he did so much damage if he had a bar with this move, because the scaling on this move was almost non-existent. So this move in zoning was ridiculous, because he could throw it at any time, and if you were not blocking, you were getting hit by that. Now, combining his moves together, let's say you're dealing with him, right? And he's throwing these out. Whenever you block one of these projectiles, because they're so safe up close, if you block them from far, like here, where they're like plus 10, plus 20, this is a frame trap. So anytime you block a projectile, your character was scared to let go of block and move forward and take a step or jump, because if you block this, you let go of block, you're getting launched. So you block this, Shiva blocks it, you let go of block, that launches you, and then you're back full screen. So anytime you blocked a straight projectile, this, from so many ranges, he could literally just check you with a spike. And if you were waiting there for the spike, he could do this. Then do it again. Then do it again. So you were like stuck in like a loop almost. You had to guess. You had to be like, okay, is he going to do House Spark after this and frame trap me where I can't move? Or will I be able to sneak in a dash or jump here? And if you're wrong, again, you're going to go back full screen and have to deal with it again. Now combine that with his downward projectile, his Sweet Dream move. This move was very plus on block. This move was literally plus 30. So if you block this, he got like a safe jump on block, pretty much. The only way out of that was there was a small gap to armor out. This move was insanely plus 30. So if you block this, pretty much got a free 50-50. The EX version of this was insanely messed up, because whenever this move hits, regardless if it's regular or EX, your character will be spinning like that, like they're dizzy, and then you'll get a full combo. So if this hits you, full screen, you can literally teleport in, and then come and he can full combo you. And the thing that made the EX one super broken is the EX version of this had armor on it. Meaning, if I were to do this and Shiva does an attack, let me put Shiva on human. Okay, there we go. So if I were to do EX streams and Shiva hits me, you can see right there it has armor. So when you got in on Freddy, this move was annoying. And it was especially messed up in the corner. So this move had complete synergy if he was in the corner. Because mid-screen, some characters, when he would do it, would be able to, you know, dash forward to go through. But when Freddy was cornered, there was no getting around it. There was no space for you to go forward. You were just going to get hit by it. So in the corner, it was a very good move that complemented his zoning and runaway style. Because him as a zoner is going to always be running away from you. Eventually, he's going to hit the corner, right? That's when this move became really stupid, because he's in the corner, does the EX stream. You have to be careful not to try to move because it'll have armor absorb, and then he will hit you for a full combo. And even if you're baiting it, let's say you're waiting for it, if you block this, he's plus. So even when you block it, he could do a 50-50. So he gets 2 chances to try and get out of the corner. It's if you try to hit him and he does the armor, and then if you're waiting there for the armor and you happen to block this move, he's plus 20 that he can just do a 50-50, and if you get hit, you're going full screen. Off this, he got a huge combo. He just got his meterless big damage. That's all. No meter. Was basically 40%. That was hitting like incredible damage off that for meterless damage. 40% meterless was huge damage. And now combine this full screen. If you're playing like a character like Sindel and he throws a projectile or ground spike, you're trying to jump in the air to go over his projectiles that he's shooting and his ground spikes everywhere. This move would catch you going airborne. So characters that were trying to do air projectiles in the air full screen to try and combat zoning against them, this move would also take care of people going in air. So basically, Freddy had an answer for any character in this game full screen, except for Smoke. No matter what you were trying to do, Freddy had answers to hit you, to combo you, to make you want to go to him, and basically play his lame game. Now, he also had a teleport. And he had 2 versions of this teleport. He had a backwards teleport and a forward teleport. And these teleports had really good recovery. They switched spots. These were projectile immune, so if Shiva does a projectile, you can see that he can just go through projectiles. And the EX version of these teleports was even more insane, because the EX version had instant invincibility. So 1 frame, if you're frame trapping him, he could EX out, full invincibility, and just escape. It was an amazing wake up, amazing way to get out of pressure. The way to bait this is you would have to read him doing it, then walk back, and then punish him that. But that was very hard to do, because if you were wrong and you were giving up ground and walking back, that just gave Freddy enough time to block, dash away, and then go back to zoning. So this character was very hard to stay in on, because he could escape with this teleport, get away from you. And whenever he did strings up close, like let's say he went for his low 50-50, right? He had a double low. This was completely safe on block. And if it hit, since it's a 2 hitting normal, he'd be like this. Okay, combo. If it hits, combo. But if it was blocked, the Freddy players would do this. they would confirm into teleport away. So anytime Freddy was touching you or doing a move, he could always end in teleport away just to get away from you. Even his poke, off his pokes, he would always be out of there. This character was very hard to stay in on. It was so easy for him to just escape and get away from you. And then you would have to get in. You would have to get in on him all over again, and then he would start his zoning, projectile frame traps, get hit by this, unbreakable, getting carried to the corner, EX to restand you, his EX would restand you, then he'll do that. That all combos unbreakable. It leaves you standing, so you don't even have an option to wake up. Like, let's say you're playing a character with a teleport like Sector or Melina, you can't even wake up teleport now, because he hits you, restands you, does a low projectile, that all combos. Now he's plus 30 from there, and then after this hits, he can do this for another trap. Or when this hits, if you try to even move after, you have to respect the ground spike because that'll hit you. So the frame traps that this character could basically execute anywhere on the screen were ridiculous. It made it feel like almost you couldn't move. Like you were not safe anywhere on the screen because anything could go to a frame trap, hit you, and then loop you back into the ending spot where you would have to start all over again. Now, I want to cover on one more thing before I wrap this video up. Freddy was also a stance character in this game. He had so many tools. He had a stance, and this is called Nightmare Stance. And basically, it's a low profiling stance, which is obnoxious when you give this to a character that is already a zoning and runaway character. So Freddy had a stance that it was an evasive stance. He would do a backdash and then go into a low profile state. And this was good because he's low profiling, he would go under projectiles. Just like his spikes. Like if you try to throw a projectile against him and it was not a low projectile, Freddy could just be like, okay, he literally could just be like, okay, that's a nice projectile, I'm just gonna go under it and launch you. He didn't care about your zoning. So this stance also gave him an ability to go under stuff. And the cool thing about this stance is this wasn't really a stance you could cancel out of to apply pressure like characters like Sonya could, because I had a 15 frame window before you were able to cancel out with a backdash or foredash. But what this stance gave him is it gave him access to 3 unique normals. It gave him a safe low with a lot of range, a safe overhead, so he got more 50-50s whenever he went in the stance. He got a safe low, safe overhead. If any of these hit you, Freddy was basically out, he was away, and he could set up like traps and more chip and do all kinds of setups off that. But his most messed up one was his stance 1. This was a mid launcher, a safe mid launcher. So off a low profiling backdash stance, you cancel into a launcher and then get a full meterless combo. That's all, no meter, basically 30%. So this move was very devastating. You try to jump at him, bait your jump in, anti you. His standing jab wasn't even that bad either. He could convert, do something like that. Restand you, projectile. Now you have to guess all these different options and take all this chip and basically put you in frame trap city. But this stance was insane because he could cancel off normal. So instead of him having the mind game of, okay, I'm going to do a string teleport away, he also could do, okay, I'm going to do a string stance and then do a 50-50. So he had so many ways to like trick you, mix you up. He could do low projectiles like that to be safe. Like this character was just absolutely bonkers. Like he was debatable top 5. He was in the number 5 to 6 spot, debatable with Cage. Cage and him were both argued to be number 5. You could say that either Freddy was 5 or Cage was 5, however you look at it. Because Cage is like the completely opposite of Freddy. Cage is like the most broken up-close rushdown character. Whereas Freddy is the most broken full-screen runaway zoner. So they were just completely different, but they were very powerful. And yeah, using this stance, I mean, you could even do combos like that off some strings. You could confirm into launchers like that if you wanted to. And the stance was... Another great thing about it was this stance... Unlike some other stances, is you were able to cancel specials out of it. For whatever reason, you were able to go into his stance, then cancel into a special. And this added a whole bunch of new mind games to the character now. Because think about this. So you're full screen, right? You block this. That's a frame trap, right? And after this, you're going to want to move, right? You're going to want to instantly... You hear the spikes, forward dash. Now, if Freddy does this, what does that sound like? That sounds like he did ground spike, right? So if he were to do this... And then you were to jump, let's say you're Shiva, and you're like, okay, I heard spikes, let me jump. He could cancel that into that, and that was a super obvious bait. That was like literally a Yomi Layer 1 bait where Freddy's would body people with. They would do that. People would get comfortable into, okay, I heard him do spike to frame trap me. I'm going to try and move now. But they would do this, and in the heat of the moment, seeing him do this and doing the stance, it would trick you sometimes because you thought he did this. So it would get you to want to move forward or jump, and then because he can cancel this into ground spike or teleport or literally any special, he could play so many mind games with that neutral. He could even use his stance, cancel into special to run away even further. So doing something like this put you here, right? But if you do 4-4-3 stance into stance, cancel, teleport, it puts you even further away. While he's zoning you, he's just... There's so many mind games literally you're able to do with Freddy. Like, literally, it's limitless and stuff you can do. People try to move, you launch them. This character was... When mastered, Freddy was one of the most annoying characters to play against. Like I said, pretty much everybody had to play and go to him. The best way to beat him was you have to get in on him, rush him down, not let him get out, put him in the corner. You have to bait his teleport and bait his armor move and make sure when you caught him, it counted. Because if it didn't and he got away, you were going to have to start from scratch all over again. This is just a small glimpse at Freddy. I know this video was almost 20 minutes long, but just talking about his zoning and all his different options and the mind games he could produce with his tools, there is a lot to unpack here. But thank you guys so much for watching.